Welcome, wrestling fans, to another episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 261, August 10th, 2021. As always, I am your host, Lance Brock. Not only are we being heard on the usual sites, once again, Anchor. I apologize to any of the Anchor listeners. There haven't been any new episodes on Anchor in a little bit. Most of the new ones lately have been on Spreaker. So to hear the newer episodes, listen to on Spreaker or the websites that get the Spreaker feed, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many others. And also, this episode is the first airing, if I set it up right, that is, on the brand new 360 Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel. Started a new one. Did a quick video update yesterday with Bruiser Brody and Madison. So if you haven't seen that yet, find the new 360 Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel, watch that video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell, all that stuff that YouTubers usually say about their videos. It would be very much appreciated. So just another way to listen to the 360 Wrestling Podcast. Just about anywhere on the internet you can listen to podcasts. You can listen to the 360 Wrestling Podcast. Now let's get this episode started of 360 Wrestling Fanatic, episode 261. And we're going to start off with a recap of last night's Monday Night RAW. Excuse me, getting a sip of coffee there. And we got RK Bro in the ring. It is the return to Monday Night RAW of Randy Orton. And Orton says he doesn't want to be a team with Matt Riddle anymore. Or it's just Riddle now. Sorry about that. And then we see the Raw Tag Team Champions, the phenomenal AJ Styles and Omos, make their way to the ring. And we find out we will have a match tonight, AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. Orton goes for an RKO, but Styles avoids it, goes out the ring, and Orton even tries to hit one on Omos. He also blocks that, and then Omos chokeslams Riddle in the ring. Our first match of the night. Drew McIntyre taking on Baron Corbin. The story of this is Jinder Mahal called him up and paid him some money to get him from SmackDown as a part of that quarterly talent exchange that they have going on right now. McIntyre defeats Corbin. And then we see Mahal and Shanky, but they do not get in the ring. McIntyre has a sword. Next up, match number 2 of this series. Karrion Kross taking on the charismatic Enigma, Jeff Hardy. And Hardy, 1 point. Actually, he cheats in this one again. pulls the tights. Not really sure why they're having the babyface do that, but this time it is Karrion Kross getting the win over Jeff Hardy. So I'm guessing they'll probably end up having a rubber match with this one, since they each have 1-1. Alexa Bliss defeated Doudrop. And then we actually get a cutaway shot of Lily winking at Doudrop. Next up on Monday Night Raw, we got the United States Champion Sheamus taking on Ricochet. And this match is sponsored by the new Sonic Crave Cheeseburger. It is Sheamus picking up the win against Ricochet. I thought this was a pretty decent match, to be honest. And now Damian Priest takes on John Morrison. And, of course, The Miz gets involved in his wheelchair with the whole dripstick thing. And then Priest gets it, though, and sprays The Miz with the dripstick. And I guess we see a miracle here, because it somehow cures The Miz and he's able to get out of the wheelchair and run off. And next up, T-Bar is taking on Mustafa Ali. T-Bar gets the win, and then they attack Ali, and Mansoor makes the save. And then backstage we see R-Truth and Akira Tozawa dressed up like janitors as they try to get the 24/7 championship from Reggie, and he does some flips and stuff like that to get away from him and escape with the championship. Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley is a no contest when Charlotte Flair interferes and interrupts the match. The main event of the evening, the Viper, the Apex Predator, whichever you want to call him, Randy Orton taking on the phenomenal AJ Styles. This one we see Omos distract Randy Orton a little bit, and Riddle makes his way from the crowd and jump on the back of Omos, and then that distracts Styles, which allows Orton to hit an RKO in the middle of the ring and get the pin and the win for his team. And then after the match, Riddle tries to get a hug from Randy Orton, and then he does, and then Orton hits an RKO to Riddle. But I'm guessing that wasn't really a heel turn to the end of the tag team, but that's just, they were having Orton be himself, being the Viper. Out of nowhere, RKO. I'm sure they're going to stay a tag team and then end up challenging Styles and Omos for the Raw Tag Team Championships at SummerSlam, coming up on the 21st. And I think that one has the potential to be a pretty good match. Big fan of AJ Styles and Omos as a tag team. I've enjoyed their run as the tag champs, but I think that if they do have that match, that they might put the titles on RK Bro and let them have a decent run with the titles, and then eventually Orton will turn on them, and then they'll probably have a one-on-one feud. So that was last night's Monday Night Raw. I thought it was an okay show. Nothing real spectacular, but it's nothing real bad either. It was an okay, decent show, in my opinion anyway. But what did you think? Feel free to either on the podcast site you are listening to this on, if they have a comment section, or the comment section on YouTube. Let me know what you thought in the comments of Raw from last night. Let me know if you thought it was a good show or just a kind of okay show. Now, let's get into a little bit of news. And right here on the Ringside News app, says Big E not likely to cash in the Money in the Bank contract at SummerSlam. Mercedes Martinez says she never fit the mold while she was in WWE. Now, was one of the recent NXT releases from this past Friday. Raw from last night sees a big drop in viewership this week. So that's not really too good of news that you want to see. And apparently Baron Corbin has received a $100,000 fine, or excuse me, he needs $100,000. And then he was fined for breaking the WWE dress code. But I'm guessing this is just part of the angle to where he's down on his luck, supposedly. And according to this, NXT's original Hit Row lineup was to include Lio Rush, who is since also been released and is working on the indies, made an appearance for AEW. And tensions are running high at the Performance Center tonight ahead of NXT. So that seems to be it for news for this episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. And this week we got coming up tonight NXT, tomorrow AEW Dynamite, Thursday Impact Wrestling, and then Friday, the day I'm sure everybody is looking forward to, we will now have 3 hours of pro wrestling on Friday nights, kicking off at 8 p.m. on Fox, WWE Friday Night SmackDown, and then this Friday night, the premiere of AEW Rampage on TNT. Very interesting to see what the debut episode will be like, what they're gonna pull out for the very first one. You definitely want to tune in for that Friday night, 10 p.m. on TNT, and hope to have more episodes, including a recap of SmackDown and Rampage following this Friday night. Also, don't forget the brand new 360 Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel, which not only will feature videos on there, but like I was saying, if I set it up right, hopefully it will also feature the audio podcast as well. Hopefully I set it up right. And